step into your divine Eros power. Can I just say, I'm so excited about doing this live. I actually have been like really looking forward to it for days, like totally going through my mind, what do I want to talk about? I know that some of you guys are familiar with me. Some of you have been to my lives before. Some of you has possibly even done my program or some of my courses. Some of you have had activations from me already, right? We're going to be looking, so there's loads of stuff that I want to be talking about today. By the way, if you're watching me on Instagram, I've got a PowerPoint presentation and slideshow. My assistant is going to give you the Zoom link. I definitely suggest come and join me on the Zoom. It's going to be much cooler than basically watching me from Instagram, although feel free to watch me on Instagram if you like, guys, okay? So, yeah, God, I've been out and I've been like connecting with the full moon because it's full moon tonight, and in the Vedic astrology, it is full moon in Gemini, right? This is an amazing occasion, right? I think the full moon is in a couple of hours. It's an amazing occasion for us to start like manifesting, basically, right? So I've asked you, you've all been sent emails, right? And I have asked you to put on a certain post in Facebook what you want to manifest. If you haven't done that, I suggest do that because it is so powerful. Like, what is your intention with what we're doing today? It is so powerful what you intend, because we are basically going to be like bringing in and drawing in on magic and on these like amazing ancient traditions of like connecting into energy to start manifesting in your life. And just so that you know, this is only like a tiny percentage of what I teach that we're going to be talking about tonight. I want to give you guys, obviously, like a bit of an activation, a bit of a feeling of the energy, but to really get the results, I work with people over like a 4-month period, right? And that is basically the time that it takes to have the whole activation. So let's start the PowerPoint here. Okay, we're talking about divine beings, right? Okay, what's going on? We've got here Aphrodite, who's the goddess of sexual love, of fertility, right? So that's fertility in our own bodies, fertility in crops, fertility in everything around us. So abundance, beauty, pleasure, and passion. This is Aphrodite. And we also have her bad boy lover, Eros, yeah, the god of love and sex. He's a bit of a mischievous bad boy, which is totally cool as well. We're totally fine with that, right, guys? So I want to introduce myself to those of you who may not know me. My name is Jade Lotus, and I have studied and practiced Taoist sexual alchemy for years. Through this practice, I managed to blow the lid off of my anorgasmia and simultaneously cure chronic health problems, addictions, and start manifesting creativity and abundance in my life. So I studied with the Taoist Grandmaster Mantak Chia. I learned to practice and teach the ancient Taoist art of sexual transmutation. I'm certified by Master Chia to teach these things. I'm also a certified Tantra educator, and I've helped thousands of people to get in touch with their bodies, their sexuality, and I'm sure that most of you know, and if you don't know, you're going to be finding out. This is so much about so much more than what we think of as just being sex. So much more than that. And hey guys, over there on Instagram, I invite you to use the link that should have come up in the comments to come and join me live in the Zoom. It's going to be way better because you're going to get to see my PowerPoint, and you're going to also be able to join in and even ask questions of me there. So, oh, here's the beautiful me with my clothes on, right? So with the Mantak Chia, the Grandmaster Mantak Chia. On one of the occasions I was at one of his lectures, getting the downloads and the initiations and the teachings from him. And totally, this guy, yeah, if it was not for this guy, probably this would not be happening right now. He is a Grandmaster. He's had like 4 different Taoist teachers. He's taken from this lineage that goes back thousands and thousands of years into ancient China. he's adapted these practices that we're going to be talking about over the next 3 days so that us Western people can understand them. And he's literally changed thousands, if not millions, of people's lives with his teaching, and really started a revolution in the understanding of sexuality in the West. So bringing Western people in touch with the power, the health-giving benefits, and the spirituality within their sexuality. So I just want to put a disclaimer in here, and this is really, really important, guys, right? I don't want you to think I'm just saying this just for some kind of, you know, benefit for myself or something like that, but these are powerful energies that we are working with, and they must be treated with respect. I know we as Westerners, we have a bit of a habit of not respecting things, of messing around with stuff. There's so many Western people messing around with Kundalini energy and Tantra and getting all kinds of problems and health problems and so on because they're not learning to properly deal with the energy. And it's really important that we respect this energy. So many Western people have played with these energies and harmed themselves. I've literally, in the last week, spoken to several people who started activating the energy on, like, say, like a 1-month course where they're taught to activate the energy but not to safely handle it, not to clear out the blockages that can cause problems, which we will be talking about tomorrow and the next day, as well as going into that a little bit today, and ended up with various kinds of problems or the energy just shutting down. This is not what we want to have happen. We need to understand, we need to respect this energy, and we need to use it wisely. It's an energy, a very sacred energy. It is like the divine, and when they say, like in the Bible, respect God, this is what we're talking about. This is the divine creatrix energy. So the Taoist practices that we will look at are taught in specific ways and in specific orders. If you follow them in the correct way, they are safe to do, and they will give you like a massive experience with your energy, a massive activation with your energy, a huge experience, right? But malpractice can result in serious and permanent health problems. It's not a joke, okay? So this includes taking practices out of context. For example, learning from a book, or I speak to a lot of guys that will read a book that says, don't practice these at home. They'll take one exercise, which seems to always be more or less masturbating while vigorously squeezing the pelvic floor to try to bring on a full body orgasm. This is not a good idea. It's caused thousands of guys to get health problems, right? And Tantra, in my opinion, is largely mistaught today. Many people claim to be Tantra teachers and use Taoist exercises out of context, teach them incorrectly. And Kundalini syndrome is a real thing. This energy is not a toy. So now that we've got this bit out of the way, let's have a look at what we can actually do with this energy and how we can start safely bringing this juicy energy into our lives. So just moving me a little bit. How can we move? Okay. Right. Divine love and sex goddess. So we are created from sexual energy. This is an obvious fact that we see represented in ancient cultures across the globe. Sexual energy is the divine creatrix energy, the most powerful energy that we have in our bodies. The trend of demonizing sexuality is relatively recent, so considering that humans have been around for hundreds of thousands of years in some sort of form, certainly it seems like civilization is more than 10,000 years old, some form of civilization. 5,000 years is not a very long time. So the evidence seems to suggest that at this time there was a trend towards sexual repression and male dominance that slowly spread across Europe over the next 2,000 years. It didn't affect other parts of the world so quickly, so some of this was the let's say more matriarchal. We're going to just say matriarchal when we're talking about the sex positive, female-centered societies, and patriarchal, it's not about men, because many men suffer under the patriarchal system. We're talking about a system where sexuality and the authentic self is repressed. Eventually we ended up with a system that told us that our bodies and sexuality are evil. So this was happening in Europe over the last 1,000 years, and obviously we know the influence that Europe has had all over the world as well. So it spread all over the world, this kind of idea that the body is our enemy, sexuality is the enemy, and so on, right? Now, when we look at sex in ancient cultures, in former years, in so-called matriarchal civilizations, sexuality was considered sacred. Remnants of this can be seen in Tantra and Taoist traditions, as well as the Egyptian system. There was a deep understanding that sexuality was a sacred and life-giving force, and it was studied deeply and greatly respected. Spirituality was governed by women, and this included sexual initiation rites that were used to introduce men to the feminine or tantric style experience of relaxing into arousal and orgasm. Now, there's actually some parts of the world where there are some remnants of this, where certain cultures that there's actually initiations given by older men to teenage guys where they're actually teaching them how to have sex. Now, whether it's being practiced in a helpful way or anymore or not is another question. We're going to look soon into like what's happened, how sexuality has gone from this thing that was so sacred and so health-giving into something that's often very like harmful for ourselves, or seen as very harmful, or can be potentially harmful. We're going to look at that very soon. So women, as the givers of life, were given enormous amounts of respect, as was sexual energy. And of course, new life comes out of a vagina. This is an amazing, incredible, very mysterious to this day experience, how a life grows inside of a woman and is birthed. So the vagina is a sacred portal, just as the penis is a very sacred part of a man's body as well. Connection with your body, with natural health and understanding energy was an important part of it, and self-love was paramount to any social relations. So if you've just joined us, we're going over some of the theory about this kind of divine energy activation. And a little bit later on, we're going to actually be having some kinds of activations ourselves. We're going to be learning some exercises. So, continuing, patriarchy and sex. Patriarchal systems are obsessed with the male lineage. That's what they're really all about. And apparently they came about and they started to come about at the time when we started to have like humans started to farm cattle and realized that there was a male bloodline. So sexuality and women were repressed in order to ensure the bloodline. These cultures tended to be warlike and less creative than the former cultures. Rather than seeing multiple gods and goddesses, the concept of deity was slowly reduced to one male god. Christianity, Catholicism, is a prime example of this. It is responsible for slavery and the destruction of many of the cultures of the planet. Catholicism turned the flesh and experience of sexual energy into a grave sin. Poverty was pushed on the masses as a good lifestyle, resulting in enormous amounts of poverty, disease, death, and suffering. And self-love is condemned as a heresy. Expectations to bow down to a divine male god and his representatives on earth in the form of the church and government. So we can see like what a big shift, what a big change this is, going from like the former, much more like people positive. So allowing everybody, men and women, to be their authentic self, to be in touch with their sexuality, in touch with their emotions, feeling comfortable with themselves, feeling juicy, connecting down into this divine, juicy energy within their sexual organs, within their sexual center, and bringing it up into their bodies and feeling very comfortable with it. And there is actually some very few tribes left in the planet where people still are walking around naked with no shame about their body, just like in the Garden of Eden. There's no sexual harassment. Doesn't even seem to be crimes in these societies because people are very comfortable and safe and in touch with their sexual energies. Let's look at the repercussions of this today. Although society is changing now, we still live under the basic beliefs of patriarchy. And unfortunately, some of what's sold to us as sexual liberation, for example, in the form of pornography, is actually just reiterating the old patriarchal paradigms that are not sexually liberating. They're not about the pleasure within our body. They're not about experiencing sexuality where we're actually able to basically awaken our energy and have these energy activations. It's about egoistic sex, which just blocks our energy up. So most people are still not experiencing the energy activation through connecting with their sexuality. So these ideas include, that we're still fed the idea that sexuality is inherently harmful. And that then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So because people don't understand the sexual energy, because they're taught to repress it, it actually goes toxic. And sexual repression is taught from a young age, which blocks a healthy relationship with the life force energy that was revered in ancient times. And of course, we must remember here that this is not just about sexual energy. A very important part of sexual energy is actually our experience of emotions and intimacy. And this is what we're going to be talking about more tomorrow. We're going to be looking at intimacy. We're going to be looking at how the energy gets blocked. And we're going to look at the relationship with the emotions and how we can become like masters of emotions and how important this is for the energetic awakening. Because I'll just say now, like, of these people that I talk to that have these kind of catastrophes with trying to activate their energy and things going wrong and harming themselves, it basically will come down to that they haven't processed energy blockages. They haven't got into a good relationship with their emotions. Maybe they've gone into the activation from a place of ego, which just means a place that is not from the authentic, intimate, vulnerable self. And then it's all gone haywire. So the results of this repression is sex crimes, porn addiction, poverty, and dis-ease. The body is condemned as wrong and regularly medicated. So look, no offense to doctors, of course they have their place, but we need to take care of our own bodies and keep ourselves healthy. There's no point in destroying and breaking ourselves and then hoping the doctor's going to pick up the pieces. The body is although there is significant abundance, most people live in a mindset of poverty. And self-love is generally lacking. And self-abuse of various forms is prevalent. So it can look at the way we treat our bodies, the way we treat ourselves sexually, food that's going into the body. We can look at like our mindset around abundance. And we're going to look actually very shortly into the whole idea of manifestation, because this is like really important. And I'm going to just actually no, I'm going to stop the screen share and show you something in a moment here. But I just want to talk about this because I want to just go a little bit into my story for people who have heard it a lot of times. I'm sorry if it's getting too much, yeah, but I feel like to put this into a relevant form, I want to explain a little bit about me, which was I grew up in this, what I'm going to describe as a proper hardcore Christian family, right? My mom literally believes the earth is 5,000 years old. It doesn't matter what evidence you show her, that's her belief. And obviously when someone believes something that's not about evidence, it's not about facts, it's what she believes, bless her. And it's beautiful because actually when I was growing up, she was so cut off. She was scared to hug us, which really was damaging, But what I've noticed and what's so amazing is as I've gone down my healing journey, I'm noticing mum starting to heal, starting to become like more comfortable with herself as well. And it's a really, really beautiful thing to actually see this going on with her. So, just to explain basically what's going on, but just let me like grab a little sip for a moment of my apple and cinnamon kombucha, which I've just finished. I don't know whichever other kombucha fans we have here, but anyways, okay. So I left home at a fairly young age. So I think I was 17 when I left home. And I remember having my first sexual experience and it being almost just, it wasn't a traumatic experience like that I was, being assaulted by someone, but it was just a very unpleasant experience where I just felt like I was just falling into this pit of emptiness. I wasn't getting the kind of pleasure and fulfillment, and I certainly wasn't having an orgasm. And it took me a few years to actually figure out what was going wrong. And then when I realized I'm supposed to be having these orgasms and so on, I started basically trying to speak to a doctor, get professional, conventional advice. And I just ended up feeling like kind of embarrassed about what was going on and not getting any answers, kind of being told you're just anorgasmic, that's how you're going to be. And at the time, I didn't put these kind of other things together. I was getting chronic back pain. I was very stuck in my life. I'd have all these ideas and projects. They weren't going anywhere. I was chronically like addicted to cannabis as well because of insomnia, anxiety. I generally had like PTSD or complex PTSD or whatever you want to call it. These are labels, emotions unresolved, whatever you want to call it, right? And I was stuck and I was not going anywhere. And it was getting to the point that this pressure was building up inside of me. And I knew that something was wrong and I had no idea what could be the answer. Like I said, I tried messing around with different things, also tried yoga, tantra, and so on. I wasn't getting results until I discovered Mantak Chia, right? The master Mantak Chia, and I discovered his teachings. I started going to workshops. I started learning these practices. I started diligently putting them into practice. And when I started doing this, I set my intention. I put my intention that there were two things I wanted. One of them was I'd been battling with this cannabis addiction. I'd spoke to my doctor. The doctor said, it's fine. You're a fairly functional person. A lot of people smoke cannabis. Well, I knew it wasn't fine because I needed it to get to sleep. I tried to stop it with willpower. And I'm someone with a lot of willpower, but it didn't work, right? Okay. I mean, later I realized these things are all going together. It wasn't like all these different problems. It's all the same problem, which was my energy being blocked, right? Basically, when I started getting into the practices, and that was what I wanted, stop cannabis, and I wanted an orgasm. All I wanted was one orgasm. It was just upsetting me so much that I wasn't having orgasms. And I knew there was something like missing from my experience as a woman, that I wasn't having this happen. And I was feeling like dead inside and just starting to feel like, my God, if I go through my whole life never having had an orgasm, it's like I can't live with this. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this over the next few days. And, you know, to cut a long story short, I decided to invest in myself. I mean, already I had invested in myself quite a bit, but I decided to really invest in myself in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of effort, energy, willpower. And I decided to go and start down this path and put myself into it. And that was what I had intended. And basically, that was what I got out of it, right? I got the cannabis stopped very, very fast, I'm going to say. And the orgasm came after a number of, let's say, like a number of months. I remember going to this workshop, and I remember actually learning these techniques. But essentially, what it did was it got me to realize, and it got me to actually understand that I had just been teaching my vagina like it was just some hole down there for him to put in, and have sex, right? I had no idea like what it was about. And when I learned ask your vagina, and for you guys, people that are watching, next week, I'm doing a masterclass about penetration. Like this was like a moment when I learned this about penetration, right? My whole experience with my sexuality completely changed. And that was when I started, actually, it was within a week of learning this, like what I can say is learning to basically ask my vagina, what does the vagina want? That basically that I then had this first orgasm. Now, I'm sure that some of you guys are kind of thinking, okay, so, right, this sounds great for, that she's had this experience, right? But how, how does it work? How does it make sense? And I do want to give you guys an experience of it all. And I want to start giving you the experience over the next couple of days. I want to just show you like this amazing guy. See if I can get him up here. That basically had this incredible, it's actually one of my clients. He had this incredible energy awakening. If I can get this playing, maybe not. It's not showing. Okay, I'm gonna have to get that for you later on down the line. But I just wanted to show you, maybe even he's here today, like one of my clients that actually started my program, basically like with this anxiety, like he couldn't even hardly go out the house. He was working like literally on like a minimum wage job. He was just feeling stuck in his life, not going anywhere. And he found, like, literally within 4 weeks of working through these powerful Taoist exercises, which we're going to start learning today and over the next few days, within like 4 weeks of practicing it, he'd actually turned his hobby into a business where he was actually making, I think, like more money than actually the job, basically. So it's just incredible how we can choose, I think, what we choose when we start tapping into these really powerful energies, what we choose to manifest. It's incredibly powerful how we can do that. So, for example, manifesting healing in our own bodies, and also manifesting just basically how to the life that we want, So, why have I gone back to the beginning here? Right, let's find where we were just now, right? Okay, here we go. So, no, come on. Okay, going back through. Okay, no, going past. Okay. Your divine Eros energy. So, despite the efforts made to destroy our personal power, this energy remains within us. And it's quite crazy because there's been really a war against our personal power. The way the church taught us that this sexual energy is sinful, that the flesh, the literal body is sinful. The way we've also had like an industry, pharmaceutical industry that's, I think, obviously has given a lot of benefits to humanity, but has turned into an industry that's actually profiting off of sickness and encouraging us to be unwell. And of course, the whole idea that we're taught in Christianity that we're supposed to just give love out to other people, but not love ourselves, that we're supposed to give everything away. The way that this kind of thing is idolized within Christianity is all within ourselves. And it's all basically, and I think one thing that's so important is love. It all comes down to a lack of self-love, that even though Christianity is supposed to be about love, the way it's ended up being taught to people is it's really drained people's energy and it's drained people's self-love. And of course, many people will say, and I do agree, this is not exactly what the teachings of Jesus was about, but rather that these teachings were taken over by organizations that sought to seek power over people and control people, and essentially has left quite a negative impact on the world. So, however, we are heavily programmed to self-neglect, and this goes so deep, so like, for example, I often speak to people, or there's a kind of thing that people might be like, I'm having loads of anxiety, I'm having loads of stress, I'll go smoke some cannabis, I'll buy some cannabis, I'll smoke it, it makes my anxiety better, which of course I used to buy into that, and it's an absolute delusion, when we could actually stop, we could meditate, we could go get acupuncture, we could invest our money into things that are actually worthwhile for us and helping us. But we're programmed to do this sort of self-destructive behavior. And like I said, I've done that. I still catch myself sometimes doing it and reminding myself, I need to really put myself first, because I'm number one. And we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, because in Taoism, we really learn that we give love to ourselves. We create ourselves into a beacon of love, which then shines out to the world. And then the world can effortlessly pick this love off of us, so that we're sharing love without it kind of feeling draining, basically. So undoing not just a lifetime, but actually millennia of programming that is designed to take us away from our authentic selves. So we're talking about civilization, education, and so on, is not an overnight job. It would almost be an impossible task. I certainly would never have gotten back in touch with my authentic divine power were it not for the practices of Taoism. So let's have a look at magic and energy, because that's what this is all about. So you've probably heard of Kundalini energy. Call it what you like. Quantum physics, which is modern science, now recognizes too that about 80% of what you are is energy. In the ancient times, people worked with their energy, knowing it was essential for health, wealth, happiness, and spiritual enlightenment. This is what Taoism is all about. This is what pretty much every ancient culture is about. And this is what it seems like millions of people were burned at the stake for doing over the last however many hundreds of years. So this can also be called magic. As we know, our culture did its best to eradicate the knowledge of this, yet it still, of course, exists. And it exists in our body. It exists in our DNA. It is our original programming. But of course, we're so blessed and we're so lucky for the ancient cultures that have survived, such as Taoism, that are actually giving us the tools to be able to tap back into the DNA and get back in touch with this knowledge. Yet our programming has done a very good job of stopping us from connecting with it. So most people's energy is almost entirely shut down. And many people who do activate it then find that they cannot handle it and may end up with health problems. And I really want to reiterate this, that we're not just having, look, of course, yeah, we want pleasure. Everybody wants pleasure. We love sex. This is human. We love orgasms. This is how we're programmed to be. And it's natural and it's perfect and it's beautiful. However, we're also programmed to hate ourselves, to hate our own bodies, to hate the fact we're sexual beings, to hate the fact we're made out of flesh and not to prioritize ourselves and not to give ourselves the things that we really, really need, not to acknowledge our emotions, not to understand our emotions, and not to understand that every feeling and every emotion is a real gift and it's an intelligent tool that we can use to be able to maneuver through life. So all these negative emotions that many spiritual traditions seem to say you shouldn't be having, these are major, massive gifts. These are powerful energies that hold gifts inside them. And when we try to repress our anger, pretend we're never feeling angry because we want to be so spiritual, we do a lot of harm to ourselves and to the people around us as well. And this is one of the things I love about Taoism, because it is so pragmatic that nothing is bad. Nothing is really, actually, there's one thing, and that is hatred. Hatred is the one thing in Taoism they say actually goes into the bones and it gets handed down from generation to generation. So hating is not good, but this is why in the Tao practices we spend so much time opening up our hearts and really activating our hearts and feeling loads of love inside of our hearts. So some of you may know what Taoism is. Some of you may be wondering, what is she talking about? Okay. If you follow me on Instagram, if you're familiar with my Facebook, which I'm guessing most of you are, basically, I write about sex, emotions, and so on. I write this all from a Taoist perspective. So if you read my stuff and you think, oh, I've never thought of this way of looking at it, it's taken the Taoist perspective, but it's putting a modern sort of twist onto it from my own experience and making it in a way which is very digestible for modern people. Because Taoism is very nerdy. It can be very nerdy. And I can totally understand that for many people, it's not the most easy thing to just digest when it's uncooked or whatever. So let's have a look at what is Taoism. So it is one of the ancient sex positive, I'm using the word sex positive cultures, but it stands out for two reasons. So I just want to say, what do I mean here by sex positive? Because actually in Taoism, technically speaking, sexual energy is a neutral energy. By this I mean, it's not positive, it's not negative, but it's a powerful amplifier. So a great comparison I find is petrol, because I can go down the petrol station, I can buy a can of petrol, I can bring it back, I can pour it in my car, I can drive my car, or I can pour it on top of my car and I can set my car on fire. It's not the fault of the petrol what I choose to do with it. Petrol is a powerful catalyst. And it's very much the same. The sexual energy amplifies, right? So when most people, the sexual energy is stuck right in the bottom of the body and it does not activate, it does not flow through the body. In a way, this is good because most people have no capacity to actually hold that energy inside of their bodies. So the first thing about energy activation is actually to get the capacity so we can actually start holding that energy in the body, because we're so full of blocked energy, which means unprocessed emotions. It doesn't mean bad emotions, negative emotions. It means emotions that went in the body that we didn't repress, that we didn't process, that are stuck in there. Now, getting back to Taoism, it is based on ancient knowledge that goes back 4,500 years and more. Although not everybody agrees on this, this is what Mantak Chia says, and I go with him because he is the Taoist master. 4,500 years ago, this, what we can call like maybe folk knowledge, was written down, and it was put into this book called the Nijing, or is called the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Chinese Medicine. So there was an emperor, he had apparently 3,000 wives, and he was having problems because sexually satisfying them all, He was ejaculating a lot, getting to the point he was feeling quite unwell. And he got 3 women to teach him and to write down about the Taoist sexual practices, which includes the practice of essentially retaining semen. So it has an exceptionally detailed understanding of energy and is the most advanced system of sexology known to humankind. It has been preserved immaculately and adapted to the modern audience by Master Chia. Taoism is about following a series of energetic practices that serve to return us back to our original programming. This is so that we can experience our energy in its natural state that allows us to connect into our personal power. And this we're going to talk a little bit more about tomorrow and the next day. But we're going to have some exercises. So we're going to get started today with some exercises. And I'm hoping you guys will be able to go off and practice these tonight and come back tomorrow with even some feedback on them. So blocked energy we mentioned, and we're going to go into this loads tomorrow. Blocked energy is when we have these repressed emotions inside the body. We're talking about the signs, physical and mental health problems. Sexual problems is a big sign, yeah. So that can be anorgasmia, erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, pushy sexual energy, being controlled by urges, porn addiction, anything that's not feeling balanced around our sexual energy is a major sign of an energy blockage, as is tiredness and fatigue, feeling stuck in life, being uninspired, inability to finish projects, and money problems. So these are all connected together. Now, looking at energy awakening, I'm just wondering, what time am I on right now? Hey guys on Instagram there. Give me one moment to grab some more water. Oh my God, guys on Instagram, this is too cute to be true. Check out that little being there. So sweet. One of my spirit guides. So, getting back, we're going to now start talking about energy awakening. Why can't I see the time? I want to see if I'm going to be going way over and we need a break or not. Maybe we'll have a break very shortly. So, energy awakening, what is it? We are educated, meaning programmed to believe that life is all about the physical realm. In fact, most of what is going on in our reality is governed by energy. We can also say the subconscious. Magic is the ability to interact with the energy realm consciously and to manifest. We are constantly practicing magic, but most people are doing it in a clumsy and unconscious way. Your ability to do this is dependent on the energy you have access to, both in terms of quantity and quality. There is a direct correlation with your sexual energy being awakened and flowing smoothly, your health, and your wealth too. And I do think that when we clear out these emotional blockages, we get this sexual energy flowing. Not only have we taken away those things that are kind of stopping us from, taking away the concentration and the focus, we're also being kind of given this stimulation of this energy, which in Taoism we call it actually a superfood for the soul. So we say sexual energy is a superfood for the soul because we can transform it into anything. So there is a direct your ability to do this is dependent on the energy of access to both in terms of quantity and quality. Tomorrow we get more into that. There is a direct correlation with your sexual energy being awakened and flowing smoothly, your health and your wealth. I just read that. Okay. This exists on multiple levels as well, and it's about understanding that there is so much more to life than the logic we are programmed with, because logic, although it has a place, absolutely, it is like the opposite of magic. And if we only believe in logic, we're losing a lot of our power. So I'm going to quickly check in the chat here. Any questions? Yeah, self-love is so important. So, I think that there's no questions there, so we can get on. Okay, so how to manifest with juiciness. Manifestation works like this. Where your intention goes, the energy flows. To increase manifestation abilities, increase your energy and mastery of energy. You manifest where your beliefs are set. When you build energy, it is essential to have control of it. I've made that mistake, having beliefs and manifesting things I didn't quite want. Your traumas may be causing you to manifest things you don't want. And your pussy or cock holds the most powerful energy that you have. So, sex magic is about using the power of sexual or orgasmic energy to heal and to manifest. In various traditions, it can be referred to as sexual alchemy or transmutation, and it exists in cultures all around the world. And it is about the process of harnessing your sexual energy to use it for any purpose that you choose. So, looking at the basics of what this is all about, you're constantly manifesting. And this means creating. We constantly create. We're constantly creating according to deeply held programming and belief systems. And our traumas are part of this. We often manifest according to our traumas, which can include repeatedly being victims. So it's very important that we understand when we're activating the energy, the manifestation is multiplying, is amplifying, just as I said, the sexual energy amplifies anything. We need to be very aware, what are we manifesting? So let's look at sexual problems. If you have a deeply held belief, sex is sinful or harmful, it makes sense to have premature ejaculation or not have an orgasm. Similarly, believing a certain type of person is problematic is likely to bring that problem towards you. This can be deeply based in trauma, and it is ultimately about your energy, particularly in the form of emotions. And conscious manifestation, which we're going to be looking at over the next couple of days, you will manifest according to the energy in your body. If your energy is free flowing, it is easy to manifest what you consciously want. However, most people have some form of blockages which dictate their manifestation in their subconscious. It is quite clear how negative beliefs around money that most people are taught cause us to shy away from our earning potential. In the same way, negative beliefs around sexuality have turned it from a source of love, pleasure, and connection to a tool for abuse. Our beliefs relate to our emotional experiences, and in particular, the emotional experiences we have blocked and have not processed. So we're going to be getting on to our exercises now that we're going to be doing. Okay. But first of all, I did notice somebody had put in the comments, I don't know if they're still here, that the person that had commented that they're finding what we're going into, they don't want to hear all this theory. Now, when we're talking about Tao practice, right, in the Tao practice, we take very seriously what we're doing because we understand that the energy, first of all, when we activate it, we want to activate it, but we also want to be very much in control of that energy. We want to know how to do what we want to do with that energy. So we want to be able to cultivate it. We want to be able to move it, to transform it, to refine it, to store it. And this isn't something that we just get from clicking our fingers. It takes a certain amount of practice to be able to activate this energy and to activate it safely and to be able to work with it. Because when you go through these practices, you eventually can start learning to, for example, massage your ovaries, send the energy from the ovaries down the fallopian tubes, down into the uterus, down out the vagina, down past the anus, the coccyx, up through the spine, into the brain, and you can then start to take it down into your organs, into your internal organs, and start creating sort of energy orgasms within those organs to actually heal those organs. We can send them to the glands, and we can actually rejuvenate the body and make the body younger. So this is not a kind of generic sort of sex thing, sex education. It's a specific system of Taoism. I totally get this is not for everybody, right? If people don't like it, that's absolutely fine. I think that only a minority of people is going to understand it and is going to get it. And that's absolutely completely fine. Obviously, loads of my content, you don't need to really get this nerdy about it. If you don't want to, but just to touch in on that point, that essentially, yeah, this is going into this stuff on a very high level. It's going very deeply into it and understanding the theory about it. There is some definite benefits from understanding the theory, as well as even understanding a little bit of science, right? And we're going to just spend a couple of minutes now on science, guys. Okay, excuse me if you're had a bad experience and a traumatic experience in biology, but I'm going to say, like, the basic thing they should have taught us in biology and sex education about the sexuality, they never taught us, and that is the autonomic nervous system. They never taught us about the autonomic nervous system and the relationship between the autonomic nervous system and sexuality, because huge amounts of people today are suffering from some kind of sexual problem. It's like they say they don't understand it. Of course, we can understand it. Of course, it all can make sense. And it all comes down to this thing: what is the autonomic nervous system, right? So, when we're going to awaken our energy and transmute our energy, we need certain preconditions going on in the body. We can say relax. Relax sounds very easy. Okay. But it is kind of important to just understand a very little bit about the autonomic nervous system. Now, if people are familiar with it, if you're not, okay, this operates in two modes called flight or fight, relax and enjoy. So we all know what flight or fight is. So Western standard paradigm sex is actually adrenalized sex. So most people have sex in flight or fight, which of course works well when you're in a system where everyone's feeling so guilty and ashamed about this sexuality that they rush in on adrenaline. It makes sense that there's this fear around sexuality. But obviously, if we're in the state of flight or fight, if we think back to our ancestors way back in ancient times, if they're running through the jungle away from a tiger in flight or fight, the last thing the body is going to be prioritizing is a long sex session, having great orgasms. The body's going to just shut down, ejaculate for the man. The woman's not going to feel pleasure and orgasm. So there's obvious problems with this adrenalized sex. So when we want to get into the deep, multidimensional layers of
sexual transmutation, you must get into the relax and enjoy mode. One of the reasons Western Christian culture enters sex in flight or fight is because of a lack of comfort in sexuality, lack of healthy conversation, plus demonization of sexuality means people don't experience it to its fullest capacity. Because flight or fight tenses up the body, the sexual energy still doesn't rise. It is tensing into ejaculation or clitoral orgasm, which means loss of energy. Right. Let's have a look. How do we take the body? And this is literally the number one first exercise that we need to know. How do we take the body out of flight or fight? How do we even know if we're in flight or fight? Because a lot of people spend a lot of the time a little bit partly in flight or fight, but not actually really like going fully into relax and enjoy. Because to be able to really experience this energy awakening, amazing experience with this sexuality, we actually need to really fully drop down into relax and enjoy mode. So the autonomic nervous system, obviously it's making everything in the body work, like 80-90% of what's going on in the body, like the digestion, the heartbeat, the liver, the kidneys, all of that stuff. The autonomic nervous system is making it work, because you can't be sitting there thinking, I'm going to make my heart beat, I'm going to make my stomach digest, and so on. Okay, so most of this we don't have an awful lot of control over it, except there's one way we can hack into the autonomic nervous system and we can take ourselves down into relax and enjoy mode, and that is by taking control of the breath. Now, if you bring your attention to your breathing now and you notice what's going on with your breathing, many people will notice when they breathe that the shoulders are rising. So notice, what is your shoulders doing and what is your belly doing? Now, if you're breathing in such a way that only your belly is moving, you are in relax and enjoy. When the shoulders are moving, well, what happens when we go into flight or fight? The adrenal glands kick in and it sends everything, all the energy goes to the heart and the lungs. So you start breathing with the shoulders up and down, the heart rate goes fast, you get this extra strength, you manage to run, but everything else shuts down. So you can imagine, if you're in chronic flight or fight, what the problem could be, right? Now, getting a little sciencey about this, right? We've got the rib cage. Under the rib cage is the lungs. I'm sure you know they're there. You can feel your ribs going across like this. And in between the ribs, we have the intercostal muscles. If we put our hands down to the bottom of the rib cage, and actually, so here I am, and I'm actually pushing up and in. It's a lot easier to do that when you're lying down, but I'm pushing up and in. And when you push up and in, you're actually pushing into a muscle which is called the thoracic diaphragm. Really important, like one of the biggest muscles in the body. So coming up, pushing in, and what I'm doing is I'm actually pushing with that muscle, the thoracic diaphragm. I'm pushing down and I'm pushing my fingers out. So I want you to try that. Pushing the fingers out. And get a feeling and get a connection in there with your thoracic diaphragm. Because, and I want to invite everybody to go home and to practice this, right? To basically practice this breathing with your thoracic diaphragm. So it's best done lying down and relaxed when you're at home, breathing in feeling that muscle moving. And it might be that when you first do it, you need to just kind of push a bit, open up, yeah, and really get the belly moving, but the shoulders nice and still. Okay. The idea being that you want to breathe with your belly going up and down. And initially, you may find yourself forcing it, but the idea is you want to allow the breathing to take you into a trance. You want each breath to go slower, to go longer, to go deeper. Breathing in and out. And feeling yourself dropping deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. So you want to really be lying down so you're not having to hold any body part up as you practice this. And as you relax, you should get a nice feeling, which is almost a little bit like someone getting stoned or something, if you've ever done that, right? You get this nice, relaxed feeling as your body starts relaxing further and further, and you actually start getting like a change happening in your brain waves as well. Now, I personally recommend this exercise should be done every single day, forever, always. It's so important because we spend so much time in flight or fight. It affects everything. It affects our health. And it definitely affects our energy. It blocks our energy, stops it from moving, and it really affects the way that we experience our sexuality. So we have love there, but we'll look at love tomorrow. We'll look at increasing your energy tomorrow, right? Okay, cool. So I want to get into a second exercise here, but first, can I ask, does anyone have any questions about this breathing, first of all? So we're 50 minutes in. I don't know how long ago that was. Okay, so we're like an hour in. So that's cool. I'm not going too much over because sometimes I do these lives and I'm like supposed to be doing it for an hour, and I'm like, after 2.5 hours, I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm still going on. Is anyone still listening to me? Anyways, right. So we're going to do like a moving exercise now. Okay, we're going to do a couple of moving exercises because we talked about the breathing and how important the breathing is. It's definitely super important because we are energy bodies. The energy is really, really important, but the physical body is important too, because the body is the alchemical chamber. And we actually have 3 energy centers, one in the belly, one in the heart, and one right up in the middle of the brain where the pineal gland is. And these are the centers where the energy changes and transforms. So most of this is done through directing the energy and attention, which we're going to learn how to do tomorrow. However, we cannot neglect the physical body. It's a bit like if you go into an old house and the door hardly opens because the hinge has gone rusty. And it's a kind of a similar that if our body is going rusty, that we're not moving the joints properly. So this isn't about having a lot of muscle. You don't need a lot of muscle for this. In fact, you can use these techniques to be really strong without actually having a lot of muscle, because you learn to transform and transfer chi through your body. So let's have a look at a couple of exercises. Let me just get up into a position where hopefully I can be seen by everybody. Right, how am I going to do this? I'm going to turn around. No, how can I do this? So that you can see me properly, because I need to get a distance away, right? Okay, that's going to work. Instagram is easy. Okay. Hey guys, we're about to do an exercise to start learning to activate the energy. So, let's see. Am I getting far enough away? Hopefully, yes. Okay, so if we imagine like the body is the alchemical chamber, and the worst thing is when our body is getting stiff, this is really like our enemy. It's like the worst thing that can happen. We want to have nice open joints and relaxed muscles, because that is how the energy can start moving. So let's just start. We've probably been sitting here. Hopefully you've got up now. Yeah, let's have like a little move of the body. So just move how you want. Just notice, are any areas stiff? Just move those stiff areas of the body. Now remember, we want this energy to move up, specifically from the sacrum back here, up the spine, and into the brain. So this is like the first step of moving the energy. Now, let's have a look at a couple of exercises. There's one which is called spinal cord breathing. It is such a great, amazing exercise. I cannot overemphasize like how great this exercise is, and it's so simple. You can do it in like 1 minute, right? So if you imagine the energy is coming from down here, the tip of the coccyx and between the leg, and we want to kind of activate the energy coming up the spine, and we're also activating the cerebrospinal fluid up here. So if I come onto the side, and imagine my spine is kind of the conduit for the energy, right? If I step in, I move forward, and I literally bend forward in this way, and I feel that from the coccyx all the way to the top of the head, I'm bent all the way forwards. Then I step out with the foot, I open up, I go exactly the opposite way, and I bend back as far as I can. So, bending forward, exhaling, bending backwards, inhaling. Got that? So we're going to bend forward, exhale, and we're going to open up and inhale. Bend forward, and the other way. I'm bending forward. So 9 of these works really good, actually, to just get a basic level of energy going inside of the body. And we can feel after, like the back feels nicer, the body feels nicer. I'm just thinking, I want to, okay, there's this little, what am I doing with my hands? So the hands are coming forward and going like this. Yeah, let me show from this direction. And going back, coming down, going forward. And going back. Now, I'd like to show you like a little dance I do, like an energy activating dance. And I'd like to invite everybody to join in, right, with that. So are you interested? Do you guys want to try this energy awakening dance with me? Give me a 1 in the chat if you want to learn the energy awakening dance with me. Woohoo! Okay, hang on. Give me 1 moment. I'm going to be back with you, and I'm going to readjust the computer a little bit because I just realized that wasn't showing up in the most fantastic way, what I was doing just then. So let's just quickly go over. Why am I having like one person? Okay, let's quickly go over that spinal cord breathing. Right, so we're going to bend forward And then we're going to go back. Bending forward. And going back. I need to get the music, guys, okay? Just give me a moment to get the music. Just realized I think I've got it on this computer, actually, the music that we want to have. So was that like a yes? Is somebody not muted? Oh yeah, please guys, mute yourself. Sorry. Okay, I think that I've got this music on the computer here. Oh, yes. Where is it? Yes, got it. Okay. Right. I don't want the music too loud because I want you to hear me, right? Okay. We're going to get a bit silly with this dance. It's deadly serious, but we're going to get silly. Let me just try to readjust the light. A little bit better. Tiny bit better. Okay, so I invite everybody to stand up. Oh my God, the dog is standing up and everything. Okay. Can the music be heard? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to stand up. We're going to, oh, people cannot hear the music. You can't hear it? Nobody can hear the music? Okay. Let me play the music from a different source then. Let's try it from here. What's it? Can people hear music now? Still no music. You need to share audio. I need to share the audio. Okay. How do I share the audio? Oh, now you can hear it. You heard it the second time. Is it working now? Yes.
Okay, because it's playing when I play it on the phone, it's working when I play it. Oh, let's bring Instagram. I can't believe that people on Instagram can still see us, yeah? We're gonna dance. If I put the camera there, like you can see all my mess in my living room, right? Let's go this side. Yes. Okay. So let's move the camera away. Have a sip of water. Someone cannot hear. Can some people hear? Some people cannot. Oh. I have another idea, which is to play it from this phone onto a Bluetooth speaker. So I'm going to put it onto my Bluetooth speaker. Yes. Can you hear it now? Can you hear it now? No. Because I don't understand why you can hear my voice, but not this speaker, because it's really loud now. So the audio source is a Bluetooth speaker now, which is really loud. No, it's coming from the phone. Someone heard it before, but somebody heard it coming from here. Oh, I have background cancellation. How do I turn off background cancellation? Ah. You need to adjust your music plugin cord. Just reconnect it. So where do I find background cancellation? I'm so not technical. Go to settings in the Zoom. Aha. Technology, man, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like our best friend and our worst enemy. I had to just change a setting. You were totally right. Okay, we got it now, finally. And I think I cut those poor guys on Instagram off. But they're just going to have to, they've seen enough of this, I think. Your live video has ended. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now we're ready. Let me just step back a bit. Okay, so the idea is I'm shoulder width apart. Sorry about the green screen thing going funny, right? Yeah, a little bit. Shoulder width, legs shoulder width apart, feet flat on the ground, and I'm just a little bit bending my knees, coming down on my pelvis, starting to just move my body a little bit, right? Just getting into my body, filling my body. And then I'm going to put my feet back flat on the ground, and I'm just going to start to shake my legs. So I'm kind of coming up a little bit on my toes, and I'm creating a vibration and shaking my legs. And as I do this shaking in my leg, I can notice that I can feel a vibration. So I'm kind of shaking from the knees, going down, feeling this vibration going down into the feet. And I'm feeling this vibration of energy from my body going all the way down and settling down into the soles of my feet. And then I can bring my attention down below me into the earth, and I can notice that the earth has its own energy that's different from inside of my body. So I'm going to invite that energy from the earth to come up into the soles of my feet. And continuing to shake, I'm going to bring the energy up into my ankles, my shins, my calves, and my knees. I'm going to bring it up into my thighs. And then I'm going to bring it up into my hips and my pelvis. And as I feel the energy reaching my pelvis, I'm going to start to then bring the pelvis in, and I'm going to move my pelvis. So I'm really feeling that dark brown, earthy energy coming up my legs, up into my pelvis, and it's mixing around in my pelvis with my energy that's living there in my pelvis, and it's filling my energy. So I can feel these two energies as I move my hips, I move my legs in time with the energy. I can feel these energies there inside my pelvis. And now let's bring a third kind of energy in. So I'm going to go like on the side so you can see me a bit better. So now I want to just invite you to just imagine you're a monkey and that you have a tail. So let's start to shape the tail behind us, right? So really shutting your eyes, visualizing yourself as this monkey, this funny, funky monkey, shaking this tail, shutting your eyes, getting into the monkey persona. And then I want you to actually notice and become aware that you actually do have a tail. And that the tail is an enormous tail and it's energetic. And it stretches all the way up into the universe and connects with the stars, the constellations, and the galaxies. So really feel the tip of your tail stroking the stars and gathering the stardust, the universal energy. And now let's start to invite that energy from the universe down into the tail and down into the pelvis. And bringing it into your pelvis, I invite you to make circles and move your pelvis. Now feeling these three energies, the stardust, hey, Precious, can you kick love out? Can you remove love, please, Precious? And we are moving these energies around. And we're feeling the universal energy, the brown energy from the earth, and our energy inside of the pelvis. And I want to invite you now to take your hands and place your hands now over your sacrum and move. Excuse me, like people like really should not be making comments about other people's body. That's completely not okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, right. Feeling this energy here, feeling the energy here inside of the sacrum. So the sacrum is really important master bone inside of the body. And let's allow that energy now, the universal energy, the earth energy, and our own energy to fill this sacrum. So I invite you to tap your sacrum, touch your sacrum, rub your sacrum, connect with your sacrum, and move your pelvis, move your body in such a way that you're feeling that energy filling up your sacrum. So really putting your attention there, being aware that wherever your attention goes, the energy flows. And then just put your hands down by your side. And I want you to just imagine and visualize that you are bringing that energy up your spine, bringing it up your back. So really moving and wiggling and visualizing a serpent rising up your spine and really getting the feeling of the energy rising up through your thoracic vertebra, rising up into your heart, the back of your heart, your shoulders, moving your shoulders. Moving your arms and hands, bringing it down into your arms and your hands. And then bringing it up into your head. And then just allow your body to move. Just, you can notice, is any part of your body stiff? Is anywhere hurting? And allow your body to move. So that you're really bringing that energy around. And at some point, you can just let your body take over and just know your body knows how to move in order to make the energy flow. So we're giving now back to our body the wisdom to move, trusting the body. The body knows how to make the energy flow. When those kids are wriggling and we tell the kids, stop wriggling, all the kid is trying to do is activate their energy, and we're messing up their energy flow. We're stopping them from having active energy because we're telling them to sit still. So really just turn off your brain and just allow your body to move now. Really feeling that energy. And bring your attention into your belly. So bring your attention to your navel, which is the center of your body. And feel yourself grounded and centered in your navel as your body is moving. And feeling the energy, and now feeling the energy all around you and moving with it. You're feeling yourself one with all the energies around you, feeling the earth below you, the universe above you, the trees, the stars, the animals, the rocks, the air. And just feel yourself part of nature, one with the whole universe, that the universe is spiraling around us and we're just part of it. You almost feel that the universe spiraling around us is actually within your body, inside your body.
Everything that you see when you look up into the stars and into the sky is also existing there within you, and that you simply are one with everything. And now bring your attention back again to your sacrum and to your coccyx, which is a big triangular shaped bone. Right there in your back. And just center yourself. Feel this is the center of your being. And allow your hips to move, allow your body to move. And allow your belly now to center, to become the center, to take over the center. And put your hands over your belly. And just rub your belly a little bit. So rub just with the center being just below your navel. And smile into your belly, placing all this energy that you've been growing and cultivating into your belly, which is the best place to store it, because then you're centered and you're grounded. Just allow your body to gently settle down, calm down. Feel the energy going through your legs, your feet, your arms, your hands. And slowly just come into stillness, just keeping your eyes shut. I want you to just allow your body to just move and then to come to the center and find a place where you're not left, you're not right, you're not forward, you're not back. Your feet are shoulder width apart, your hands are placed over your belly, and you find a place right in the center. You're not left, you're not right, you're not forward, you're not back. And in that space, you're going to find that you're actually completely weightless. So take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths into your belly. And then I invite you to sit down again and find yourself into a comfortable position, which I'm also going to do now. And taking some nice deep breaths, just allowing this energy to stay with you, feeling it moving through your hands, through your legs. You can start to just stroke yourself a little bit as well. Just as you touch, just being aware that you're connecting into that beautiful energy that you've just been waking up and activating. So the energy, it comes from the perineum, it comes from between the legs. It also kind of comes from the sacrum. At least the sacrum is certainly where we hold a lot of energy. And so we can see that even through the movement, we can start getting the energy flowing. And we can use the breath. And with most people, this takes a bit of practice to start using the breath to move the energy. But basically, when we start practicing this is what we're doing right now, is we're working with the physical body to start getting the mechanisms in the physical body working so we can start activating our energy. And these are great things to practice. It's called Kundalini meditation, Osho. You can find that on YouTube. So I'd like to invite now, anybody have any questions? My sacrum feels much freer. My whole body is buzzing, and that's it. This is starting to get the energy moving. Exactly. Good, that guy is gone. Oh my God. Yeah. No, the video does not tell you how to do the exercise, because the exercise is my exercise. But you should be getting the recording. Hopefully this is still recording, right? It's still recording. So the recording is coming to you guys in the next day or two. And you can feel free to keep that recording and copy. I think that I accidentally didn't record right at the beginning, but you can copy this exercise. And also in terms of like the breathing, I definitely recommend. I know that like it takes some practice to start getting the breathing going, right? And this is why I get people, the first exercise I get clients doing is always this breathing, but it can have like such a profound effect on the whole body. So the heart feels warm. So that means you've started bringing and unblocking and bringing some of the energy up into your heart, which is completely perfect and amazing. Yeah. Yawning a lot. Yeah, this can happen. The thing is, I recorded it actually onto Instagram, so I'm going to probably try and paste it together, but it was literally only the first few minutes that I missed out. So great point. I mean, the breathing, I think it's fantastic last thing at night to get in bed and do like 10 to 20 minutes of this belly breathing. It's so profound and so powerful. The dance, do you want to do it right before you go to bed? Is it going to stop you sleeping? Maybe, I think the dance is great if you're feeling like a little bit tired. And so the heart is feeling an activation. Exactly. I mean, this is like only a teeny bit of the whole exercises, but they're so powerful, right? And I would just say of it all, probably 80% of it is using the intention to do stuff with the energy. But there is this bit that's to do with moving the body and the breathing. So I wanted to get that first of all. So we start looking at this aspect of it, because we all know, even if you're like in a mega bad mood about something, really upset or whatever, if you go off on a long walk, and I don't mean like a walk all stiff, but you're swinging your arms, moving your legs, you go off on a long walk, at some point you can be like, oh, I'm not pissed off anymore, right? And then you turn around and walk back. At least that's what I sometimes do if I'm feeling in a bad mood. I remember doing that a little while ago, actually, when I was maybe a year ago or something. I remember being in a really bad mood. I was just getting over COVID and I was feeling really and I went on this mega walk for about 2 hours, and suddenly I was like, wow, I feel amazing. It probably helped my whole lungs get working again as well, which is probably contributing to me being in a bad mood. So guys, look, yeah, we're still here. 22 people still here after, oh my God, we're getting close to like 2 hours. I've promised I'm going to answer some questions. If Sure, okay, I do believe there may be a video as well that I might be able to share as well. About the exercises. I've definitely got write-ups about these exercises too. Great idea, Ingrid. Thank you. But as I said, it is important, but it is going to come on the recording. You guys are all going to get the recording sent to you as well. Yes. So, but it might be an idea for me even to cut it up, right? To edit it, cut it up, and put it in the Facebook group. But I think I have a video somewhere I can actually share that into the Facebook group explaining about the breathing. So I've definitely got a couple of really good videos explaining about the breathing that I can put there into the Facebook group. So that's a great idea, Ingrid. So first of all, okay, when we do this stuff as well, it can bring up stuff, it can bring up emotions, it can make us feel really good, it can bring up stuff that doesn't feel good. That's really fine if that happens. I want to invite, there is also the option here to send me a private message. If there's people that are feeling like there are things they want to kind of ask about, you can send a private message, you can put a public question, right? Precious, I put you back in charge. You're back as a co-host. And I have like some PDFs, right? Because as I've mentioned, as you probably know, this is not the whole thing in and of itself that we're doing. This is actually part of like a bigger program, which is like a 15-week program. I'm going to explain a little bit more about it over the next couple of days. But Precious, you have some PDFs, right? There's 3 of them. There's one for women, one for men, one for couples. Can you stick those in the chat? So that people can get the PDFs and take them home and check them out, so they can get a bit of an understanding about what this whole thing is all about, how it's like actually just so much more than what we're talking about today. Obviously, we can be here all night talking about it, but we're going to try and limit to 2 hours because we were supposed to be 1 hour, right? So regarding the breathing, please. Okay, right. So coming here, right, to the bottom of my rib cage, I'm pushing in under the rib cage, right? At the bottom of the rib cage is the thoracic diaphragm. The perfect breathing will only involve that thoracic diaphragm. So I've pushed my fingers in. Now I'm using the thoracic diaphragm to push the fingers out. And ideally, you want to only be using those muscles and just the belly rising and falling. And like I said, when you first do it, you probably are going to feel like you're kind of forcing it. The idea is you want to allow the body to completely take over, okay, and the breathing to happen on its own. So there's just some PDFs here. The first one is for women. The second one is for men. So I recommend like have a click on those, check it out a bit, yeah, to find out a little bit more about what this is all about. Gives you some more like juicy information. Oh, okay. So everybody who's joined, you should have received emails giving you information about how to enter the giveaway. Okay. You basically need to comment on a Facebook post. It gives you the link of the Facebook post. You can also find it on the Facebook group. You need to put a comment just saying what you want to manifest, where you're going. There's also an email address. I'll put that email address in here, and you need to send an email to the email address. Hang on a sec. That explains where you're coming from, okay, what you got out of this 3 days, yeah, so where you were before, what you got out of these 3 days, and where you're looking to go from here. So it's the post on the Facebook group, and then that email, winner@theartofthebedchamber.com, where you're going to give me that info, just explaining a little bit so I can understand what are people getting out of these well, it's not a program, this like challenge, right, this event, I guess we could say, right, where people are coming from and where they want to be going in the future. So I hope this all has been like super informative, super juicy, right? Tomorrow we're going to get into like using some really amazing, like unique Taoist magic, where we're going to actually be learning how to cultivate and grow energy. We're going to learn to move energy, to refine energy, and we're going to learn to transform energy. So these are like major, amazing skills when we can start learning how to do this. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to hack the energy field. We're going to have to learn to go into the body, and we're going to learn how to remove energy blockages. And we're also going to learn, basically, we're going to learn how to essentially, like, how important this is for intimacy, and how we can also use intimacy to unblock this energy. So, yes, exactly. It is a particular post. And what I'm going to do is I'll go into the group and I'll just comment at everyone here post. This is, I think I've already put in the group, at everyone here is where you know, but I'll double check. I'll put another comment, which will then send the post up to the top of the group, right? But basically what you need to put in there is, what are you hoping to manifest over these 3 days? So is there any other way to do the breathing without the fingers? I can't get my fingers under due to baby bump. You don't need to put the fingers in, pregnant lady. Okay, amazing, beautiful. Listen, yeah, okay, baby, yeah, I've had baby and tummy. Baby pushes up into the lungs. Baby pushes up into the thoracic diaphragm. Just, it's not totally recommended to do this stuff in a pregnant state, yeah, to be honest. It's great to find out about it, but these are powerful energy exercises. I probably should have asked if anybody's pregnant. Not that what we've done today is going to have caused you any harm yet, but I would just say, just relax, lie down, relax, and breathe gently, feeling the attention in the belly. Don't go pushing up there, right? You're totally right. And actually, what we're going to be doing tomorrow is fine as well, actually, for pregnant women, really. But a lot of these exercises, because like I said, they're super powerful when we get into the more like deeper exercises that we don't want to force anything, because also, like, basically actually being pregnant is a state of stagnation. So that's the one time you want your energy to stagnate, when you're pregnant, right? These energies are all about this stuff is all about activating the energy. The last thing you want when you're pregnant is an energy activation, Monique. Yeah. However, feel free to keep in touch with me, to send me a private message, to ask me any information. Yeah, totally, Monique. Yeah, and feel free to like send me a private message. Definitely, the dancing is fine during pregnancy, but obviously you listen to the body. If the body's going out, we just respect it, right? I mean, generally it's not good, I would be honest, to raise much energy, but this was a very gentle energy raising exercise. But what we're doing tomorrow, so with the unblocking the energy, getting in the relationship with our organs, learning about intimacy, is completely fine. But yeah, I think you're aware that we just let the body stagnate a bit when we're pregnant, and then when we finish being pregnant, we can then get into waking it all up again, doing the exercises, getting our vagina nice and exercised and healed afterwards, and so on. Oh, and by the way, if anybody actually did want to just ask a question, unmute themselves and ask a question, it's fine to do that as well. Putting everybody here in the gallery so we can like see each other. Oh, I'm just seeing like a few people. I had hoped that that was going to go into a gallery with everybody. Maybe it's just okay. So I'll just go back to me. Okay. If anybody wants to ask anything, I think there's like a couple of moments. Oh, there's 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. We're going to have been on 2 hours. I'm going to stop the recording now as well, which is just in case any